Hello everyone, my name is Tom, I'm the Sugma Male, and I told y'all to keep your eyes on the table. I told you that we were cooking over there on the round table, and this past week we made a joint video, the first one we've made in a while, hopefully the first of many this year, to speak about the hottest animated show of the last 20 years. Velma. By the way, I just want to apologize right now in advance. My voice might sound a little off because my sinuses and my allergies. Being here in Michigan in the middle of winter, in the middle of a weird winter where the weather keeps changing on a dime. It'll be 20 degrees one day and 60 degrees the next. My sinuses are suffering greatly. I was blowing blood out my nose earlier today, so I'm struggling a little bit here. So if I sound congested, it's because I am. I'm doing my best. I'm staying hydrated. I'm over here drinking water. But anyways, everyone is really freaking out about this new Velma show. Being like, it's the fall of Western civilization, people are out riding in the streets, cats are moving in with dogs. It made your cousin stop watching hentai and he went and got a sales job and now he's foreclosing on some poor family who can't pay their mortgage. And as a result of all this publicity, all this outrage, Velma has been doing incredibly well. Or at least these first two episodes have. Of course, we're going to see a drop off. After these first two episodes, I do not expect the viewership to be nearly as successful as it has been so far. This has opened my eyes a bit. It has, like, kind of made me a little bit frustrated, because this is not the only animated show that's come out on HBO Max. In fact, there have been so many great animated shows on HBO Max that have been canceled. There's been so many animated shows on HBO Max made by people who I've met, who I've seen the passion. Shows that had great writing, shows that had very likable characters, everything that's the antithesis of what you don't like about Velma. And a lot of those shows got canceled. To some degree, not because they were not successful, but there was not the same outrage over Infinity Train or Close Enough or these many incredible animated shows that got canceled. There was not the same emotional outcry of support for them as there is an emotional outcry of condemnation for Velma. What I'm trying to say is, there are all these people who are saying that Velma is the downfall of Western civilization, or that this show is just an example of how people don't know how to do animation for adults, and that, you know, there's a desire for animation aimed at adult audiences. There's just not the quality there. That's kind of the implication when you see so many people outcrying. And the thing is people are acting like this is the only show. People are acting like this is like the only animated show, not only just been on HBO Max, but is out there now. Like, there's so many great animated shows that people are just not caring about. Of course, if you want to know what some of those shows are, you can head over to the round table and we'll talk about them. You know, we talk about a lot of them. We try and give as many of them publicity as we possibly can. But there are so many people with large audiences who are talking about Velma. And it's like, where were you with Infinity Train? Where were you when Close Enough? You know, y'all talk about that era of cartoons of Regular Show and Adventure Time and how that was so much better than what we see now. And yet, when the same creators, when J.G. Quintel, the same creator from Regular Show, makes Close Enough, which is a spiritual successor, which is basically Regular Show made as an adult cartoon, where's the support? Like, it's just frustrating as someone who's paying attention to this stuff, as someone who cares about this stuff, as someone who has so many friends who work in that industry, and seeing how much greatness there is there, and people are seeing this Velma stuff happen, and then the stuff with Justin Roiland. It's kind of not looking good for adult animation, at least on the outside looking in, and that's what's frustrating, is there are so many great adult cartoons out right now, including shows like Tuca and Birdie and Inside Job that just got canceled, shows that were good, and the outrage is towards Velma. And that's another thing, is people are like, oh man, like Inside Job got canceled, but we got Velma and we got Big Mouth. Like, bro, people work on those shows too. You can say like, the shows aren't good, but like, listen, there are people who are working, who are making their money, who are paying their bills because they have a job doing something small, creating a larger product on those shows. Okay? Well, man, like, well, they're clearly, they're not doing a great job. Like, bro, they're under someone, they're taking directions from other people, they're doing their jobs as they're being asked to do their jobs, and a lot of the people who are working on those shows, there's probably someone working on Velma, there's probably someone who works on Big Mouth, who in the next 5 years is gonna make your next favorite show. And I find it frustrating, because there are so many great shows out there that are getting canceled, and there was not the same uproar. There were so many people talking about Velma. It was crazy. Like, bro, by the time we were putting time and effort into our video, and by the time we had it out, there was like probably about 500,000 videos on Velma on YouTube. Hell, I'm probably lowballing it. It's probably more than that. There's probably millions of videos talking about Velma, being like, man, this Velma show is the worst thing to ever happen. They hate you, they hate Scooby-Dooby-Doo, they are ruining your childhood, making jokes about adults who watch cartoons. And I know it, like, being who I am, being on the round table, people like to make jokes like, oh, you guys are grown men who care way too much about cartoons. Like, bro, for me, watching cartoons is like a low-risk, high-reward thing, at least from a qualitative standpoint. The high risk comes from, like, getting into a show like Close Enough, being like, wow, this is really good, and then having it get cancelled. That's like the true, like, travesty. Having a show like Velma exist, it doesn't matter. Watching a show and having it be a Velma is not a big deal. I can just be like, okay, this isn't good. Or like I said in the roundtable video, there's some good things there, but it's lost in a mess of things that are not good. But that doesn't matter. I don't have to watch it. That's not an impact on me. I just don't watch the show. If it gets better, I might watch it later if I hear that it got better. It's ultimately pretty low risk to watch cartoons, because on the low end you have a Velma that's just not good, or you get something like Avatar, you get something like Infinity Train, you get something like Amphibia or The Owl House, which is incredible. Like, that's high reward. Like, god dang, this is good. If you're looking for adult animation specifically, this person at Final Space put together a very comprehensive thread about the very much great adult animation that is out there. I suggest you check that out. Oh, another one that I didn't even think to mention, Arcane. That's another great example of, like, a good adult cartoon out there, and that one's probably not going to get cancelled because Riot has a ridiculous amount of resources to put into that. Pantheon already got cancelled. There was, like, no outrage over that, aside from, like, a few people. Tuca and Birdie got cancelled. That's a much bigger reason to be upset than the fact that Velma exists. That has a very same vibe as BoJack Horseman, except I think even kind of handles the themes even more responsibly, if you ask me. It's the type of thing where it's like, if you don't like BoJack Horseman, this is, like, probably the BoJack Horseman version that you would actually enjoy. So ultimately, my point is I'm frustrated because it's like, okay, we have the energy to get all this outrage and bring all this attention to a show that we don't even think is good. But when there are really great shows where people are putting their heart and soul into a piece of art, into a story, through the medium of animation, we're just gonna let it get canceled? And when I say we, I mean specifically all the people who were quiet about Tuca and Birdie. Because, like, listen, there were plenty of people in my circle where it was like, oh man, I can't believe Inside Job got canceled. I can't believe Tuca and Birdie got canceled. I can't believe this got canceled. And it was so good. Like, why would this happen? And now they're talking about Velma. That's a little bit different than, you know, certain big names who suddenly care so much about animation, who suddenly care so much about adult animation, Western animation, that Velma is just so offensive to them. It is so offensive. How could they ever dare to do this? This is an insult on me. This is an act of hatred on me personally. Like, it's just ridiculous, dude. Like, you did not even go here until a couple days ago. If you want to show up when it's time to hate, you also gotta show up when it's time to love, when it's time to show genuine support. You can't just be cynical, okay? Like, I do not fuck with that. If you are just here to be cynical, and you are just here, like, Critical is one example where it's like, I wish he would show up more, but you know what? He was out here singing praises to Invincible, so at least he does show up when it counts as well, you know? And I did kind of, Charlie, if you see this, I did kind of jack your format for these videos a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You know what they say, a good artist will borrow, a great artist steals. So, justice for Tuca and Birdie, justice for Inside Job, justice for all these incredible pieces of animation that come out great, are doing great, and just don't get the opportunity to tell a story that they're trying to tell. I just wish we saw a little bit more energy for those things. And that's all I gotta say.